Hey guys, welcome back to Breaking Chains with Lucky. And this channel is all about all things narcissistic abuse, all things narcissism, all things healing after narcissistic abuse, and how to get out of narcissistic relationships by being able to identify that you are in one in the first place. So today we are going to have a look at the 3 stages of narcissistic abuse, and this is across the board of all types of narcissism, which I will discuss further in the upcoming videos. So far I've discussed the malignant narcissist as well as the covert narcissist. I will link the videos below so that you guys can go have a look at those, and so that you can be able to identify the different traits of how to spot the narcissist and what it looks like according to the different types of narcissists. The 3 stages of the narcissistic abuse cycle are idealization, when the narcissist literally places you on a pedestal and you feel like, oh, nothing like this has ever happened in my life before. Who is this person? And then we have the devaluation stage, which happens, after the idealization stage, where now the narcissist starts pulling away, and then the discard stage, when the narcissist mask completely falls off and you are thinking to yourself, what the hell just happened? Okay, so the first stage, idealization. Ah, guys, it feels like you are literally living in a fairy tale. You know, it's an emotional high like no other that lasts for some weeks, months, sometimes in rare occasions, even a year and just over a year. But it's just this feeling of intensity and this love that you've never ever encountered was humanly possible. Now, this, my friends, is what we call love bombing, right? You feel like you've found your soulmate, and no one can ever love you like this person loves you. You are showered with praises, with courting, with vacations, very elaborate vacations, promises of a future together, you know everything that you ever want or expect from a partner. But now the problem is that all of this is not true. It's literally love bombing. It's love, and love bombing is when a person figures out what you want, figures out what you like, and they literally become that. And they show you, they they shower you with what you perceive as your love language, right? But it's overboard. It's overboard. I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, don't all relationships start like that? Isn't that like the honeymoon phase? Well, yeah and no. Yes, because with a normal relationship, right? So you have the honeymoon stage, and as you progress into the relationship and everything sort of settles, you become closer as opposed to drifting apart if you're a couple. Whereas in a narcissistic relationship, after all the love bombing and over the top gestures, during the devaluation phase, they realize that actually this is a human being. They're not perfect. And this idea that they had in their head of this perfection that you are, starts to wither away. And they start making you feel less than. They start pulling away. They start withholding affection. Literally everything that they did at the beginning, they start to either give it to you in breadcrumbs, or they just stop giving it to you altogether, which then obviously causes a drift in the relationship. So that's the difference between the normal honeymoon phase love bombing and a narcissistic type of love bombing. The normal honeymoon phase love bombing, after that is done, you generally grow closer as a couple and as partners in the relationship. Whereas with the narcissistic love bombing, you tend to grow apart because you stop being this person they created in their heads, and then they start treating you differently, which leads us to the devaluation stage. Now, this is part of the relationship where you start feeling this comfortable rhythm. The relationship starts getting comfy. You sort of like know your partner now, or at least supposed to. And this is when the target being the person that is not narcissistic in the relationship, this is when the target begins seeing red flags in this so-called fairy tale, right? And these red flags look like being put down, backhanded comments, sudden lack of emotional and physical intimacy, withdrawing affection. So they legit stop treating you like how they treated you at the onset of the relationship, when they put you on a pedestal, and they start disappearing, even like from the face of the earth. You live with this person, and they suddenly are unaccounted for odd hours, in odd hours of the night, and they shrug it off like, well, I need a time out. And it's like, but you didn't think to tell me that you're going somewhere. None of that. So at this stage of the relationship, you generally, as the target, through being gaslit, another term, gaslighting is when a narcissist purposefully makes you question your own reality. Okay, so what does this look like? You will have proof, right? Proof, like in black and white, that look at this. I saw you with my own eyes and took a picture of you cheating today. And they will find a way to spin that around to make it feel like, why were you even there in the first place? But they manipulate you into getting you to a position where you end up apologizing for their nonsense. So this happens time and time again, even with small things, the smallest of things, something as insignificant as when you know that you ask the person to get eggs at the shop, and they deliberately don't get the eggs, and they tell you that you never told them to get the eggs, when you know for a fact that you did, because the whole reason why you reminded them was because you got a notification or an alarm reminding you to tell them to get eggs. So you start questioning your own sanity. You start questioning reality, like, okay, maybe I'm going crazy. And it happens over and over and over and over again if you stay in this type of relationship, that you literally reach a point where you do not trust yourself and you do not trust your judgment. Another way that a narcissist will gaslight you is by making you feel jealous or insecure for making them account, or questioning anything that they're now suddenly doing that they weren't doing at the beginning of the relationship, questioning their infidelity. Suddenly you're this insecure, crazy person who just needs to get a life. Another way that they gaslight you is by making you feel like you are crazy, or calling you crazy, or even telling other people, they're enablers and they're flying monkeys, that you're crazy because you are not accepting their excuses or disrespectful behavior towards you. And usually, when the devaluation stage happens, that's when a string of supplies, or the next supply, or one of the supplies that they stored away in their harem closet, is being entertained and groomed for when they, onto the next stage, discard you. Now, the discard stage is very interesting because this is where the mask slips off completely. This is when you, as the target, no longer serve the narcissistic supply that they need for their ego. So this happens when the target starts asking questions, questions, starts asking for compromise, starts asking for empathy, integrity, honesty, boundaries, anything that is normal and healthy within a relationship. But people with narcissism aren't about that life. Like, you can't make them account. They are above everything and everyone. Therefore, they cannot be held to what society deems as an appropriate way to respond to relationships and other human beings, because they just lack respect for anything and everyone unless it serves them directly. So, because of this, you stop being this perfect partner, as I had stated before. You stop being this perfect partner to the narc or for the narc. And you stop being this perfect partner literally for wanting the bare minimum and for wanting respect. Things that you shouldn't even have to ask for within a relationship. So you stop being this perfect partner. And then the discard takes place, where the narcissist either disappears, or they orchestrate their own demise in the relationship so that you break up with them, by, I don't know, by doing something that will emotionally abuse you to the point that you just like, I can't take this anymore, and you end up discarding them. And there are different reasons that exist around why they would either want to discard you or push you to discarding them. And it all serves them at the end of the day. So them discarding you means that they hold the power. By holding the power, it means that they weren't the ones that were abandoned, and that makes them feel good about themselves. And them pushing you to discard them is so that they can go around saying, oh, woe is me, I tried everything in this relationship and none of it worked, until, I guess I'm not worthy or good enough. I did everything for this person and they ended up breaking up with me anyway, to play victim. So either way, they are in one way or another serving themselves and how people view them, just to garner sympathy on one end, and to continue having this sense of superiority on the other hand. Now, it is important to note that this cycle can happen in a relationship that lasts for years on end. Okay, so we are just putting an umbrella on how the narcissistic cycle operates. But depending on the type of relationship, it can either just happen once and end, so idealization, devaluation, discard, and then it ends, or it can happen over a long period of time, where idealization happens, devaluation, and then the discard. And then when the narcissist realizes that, oh snap, they realizing and noticing the type of person they're dealing with, they go back to again idealizing you, then they devalue you, and then it's the discard again, and then it just becomes this constant cycle over and over again. And you wake up 20 years into the relationship and you think to yourself, what happened to me? Where did my confidence go? Where did my self-esteem go? But it's because of this constant cycle that's been happening over and over again. And because it's been happening over and over again, you get to a point where you feel like your identity is dependent, or your identity and self-worth is dependent on what this person thinks of you. So when they idolize you, you have this, this emotional high again, like, oh my gosh, okay, they're coming back. Oh, this is great. And then they start devaluing you again, and you like, oh no, but what's going on? And then they discard you, and then you feel like, okay, I've lost it all. I just want this person back. And then they idolize you again, and then we back to square one. It's just this ongoing thing. So yes, guys, so those are the 3 stages of the narcissistic abuse cycle. If it looks like anything that you've been through, you can go ahead and comment down there in the comment section. And I really hope that this information has helped someone out there. So the only way that you can stop this cycle from happening, especially if it's been happening over and over again, and you are beginning to identify that this has been happening to me, the only way to stop it is by getting out of that relationship. The only way to stop it is if you stop it, because the narcissist at the end of the day is benefiting from keeping you in this loop and this cycle. So get empowered, stay empowered, and rebuild and rebuild. And trust me, life is so much more better on the other side of narcissistic abuse. You find yourself again, you relearn who you are, and you fix the parts of you that attracted you to this person in the first place. So guys, that is the end of the video. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and I will be catching up with you in my next video. Goodbye.